At this point, a lot of you guys are probably very familiar with the ad strategy that I run, which is running long form copy and native images combined to create what I call the native mini sales letter. And this is the exact ad strategy that allowed me to scale a in public branded dropshipping business to 10K a day. And you can find that dropshipping business on my channel if you just go back and watch literally any of the videos that I've posted over the last 3 months. Now, the key thing that I want to teach you in this video is a technique that I've never really talked about on this channel that is responsible for making about 90% of this ad actually succeed and scale to 5 and even 10K a day and beyond. And in this video, I want to teach you that copywriting technique so you can start to apply it to your ads today in this document here. And then I'm also going to give you a 29-page AI prompt that you can use inside of Claude or ChatGPT to be able to generate the exact kinds of ad copy that have allowed me to generate these kinds of results that you see on screen. And if you're somebody who's a little bit skeptical as to whether or not any of these free prompts that I'm giving out actually worked, I want to take a second to give a huge shout out to my boy Jordan, who joined the community about 2 weeks ago because he made $270,000 from YouTube alone through all of my free content, free resources, and of course, because he's an absolute G himself. And so he decided to join. So if that doesn't speak to the effectiveness of these free prompts, then I don't know what else will. But without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. Now, let me know if this sounds familiar. You saw my videos, you started thinking, okay, I want to test some native ads. I'm going to start writing long copy with Anthony's prompts. I'm going to apply them. Now you've just finished writing the copy with Claude. You scan it top to bottom, lean back in your chair and think to yourself, this is the one, this is it, baby. I'm going to look at that new Lamborghini Urus on Car Gurus and I'm going to put a pre-order in. I'm going to start calculating what my credit score needs to be, how much my payment will be if I put this much down. And you get excited, maybe even a little giddy. Maybe you can't really contain your excitement. And then you go to put it into your ad account and it flops. It flops and you're left wanting to punch your laptop. And anyone who advertises knows that when an ad flops, it's not annoying. It's actually downright frustrating. Like you want to do some fucking heinous shit to your laptop after it fails. Or maybe I'm just a fucking nutcase. Anyways, you're probably thinking, I thought this was excellent. Why won't it spend or why won't it perform? And if you can relate to anything that I've just said, then you're making the same mistake 95% of copywriters make, which is you are ignoring beliefs. Now, beliefs. What are beliefs and why do they control everything? So a belief is what your prospect perceives to be true. And if you think about what beliefs are just in general, they're what we assume or think about the world to be true. And here's the critical part. People make buying decisions based on their beliefs, not based on facts. So if somebody believes wet food prevents kidney disease in cats, they don't buy a water fountain, period. Doesn't matter how good your copy is, doesn't matter what studies no matter what studies you show or what studies you cite, their beliefs block the sale. Because if somebody believes that all they need to do is use a wet food diet and their cat will never get kidney disease, then why would they ever buy a fountain? So in other words, you need to have a clear distinction. And before you write any of your ads, you need to start by first identifying what do your prospect currently believe. And so in the case of a cat water fountain, if you go on any of the subreddits for cats, anything to do with cat health, cat dehydration, you will find hundreds, literally hundreds, if not thousands of comments of people all mentioning that the best way to prevent kidney disease or to at least mitigate it is through switching from dry food to wet food, or basically doing a mix of wet and dry food. But essentially the diet is the only thing that you need to change, and that's it. You're pretty much good to go. So the reason why that's important to understand in the case of a cat water fountain, again, the existing current belief is that wet food prevents kidney disease. Now, if somebody believes that wet food prevents kidney disease and they hold this to be true, then there's no amount of benefits I can show them. There's no amount of proof that I can show them about a cat water fountain because they already believe that wet food is enough. So there's nothing that I can say about the benefits of a cat water fountain that are going to convince them that they need one. It's just like if you believe that dropshipping is dead, then it doesn't matter what strategy I show you or present to you, or even what proof I present to you. I could pull up in a McLaren with 100K a day on my dashboard, and you probably still wouldn't believe me if you believe dropshipping is dead. Let's look at another example where you have a TV repair manual. If you believe that repairing your own TV is too complicated, then you're not going to buy the manual because you don't believe you can fix your own TV anyways. So this is why you need to shift beliefs and not just make claims. And here's what most copywriters do. They look at their product, figure out what it does, and then they make a claim about it. You might think that you're very sophisticated in that you're probably looking, and you've seen my videos, and you're looking at, okay, what mass desire does this product fulfill? You understand that people buy what they think the product will give them, not what the product does. So you might be marketing in a very sophisticated way already, But the key here is that no matter how much you know about your customer's desire, no matter how deeply emotional you get about that desire, it doesn't matter if they have contradicting existing beliefs. Okay? So the belief conflict, when your claim contradicts what someone believes, one of two things happen. They either reject your claim, that's bullshit, everyone knows wet food prevents kidney disease, this ad is lying. And by the way, if you look at any of the comments of some of my previous ads where I was not implementing gradualization, you will see a bunch of comments here that are saying the same thing. Whatever I'm claiming in the copy is bullshit because of their own experience or things that they know. Everybody's a fucking expert. Or option two, they don't believe that you're talking to them. Maybe that works for some people, but I'm not a handyman. This isn't for me. So either way, you're going to lose the sale. And the best example I could put of this is you can't convince someone that 2 + 2 = 5 if they believe 2 + 2 = 4. There's nothing that you can say for that to be true. And the reverse is also true. If somebody believes that 2 + 2 = 5 and they believe that with 100% conviction that it's true, there's nothing you can do to get them to believe 2 + 2 = 4 until you follow this process, which I'm about to show you here. So when you're writing your copy, here's what you need to do instead. You need to shift your audience's beliefs before you make your claim or before you introduce the product or before you tap into anything to do with desire and showcasing how amazing your product is and how a person's life is going to completely transform by using the product. And the way that you do this is through a technique called gradualization. And this is the technique that's responsible for allowing me to hit my first 10K a day on the store. And that a lot of our, like literally dozens upon dozens of students who are hitting their first 10K days, first 1K days, first 100K months, 16K days, literally like we have results like just flying left, right, and center in our group. And that's because these guys are applying this technique, which I'm about to show you here. Gradualization is the process of shifting someone's beliefs by building a chain of small agreements. So firstly, you start with saying something that somebody already accepts as 100% true. And then you basically step by step gradualize them until they arrive at a new belief. And the new belief we want to get them to is believing that is the belief that they need to hold in order to buy our product. So for example, if somebody currently believes that all they need to do is use wet food to address their cat's kidney disease, what they must believe in order to buy a cat water fountain is number one, wet food alone isn't enough to prevent kidney disease. And number two, my cat needs fresh moving water available 24/7. It's only when these two beliefs are instilled in someone that they will actually buy a cat water fountain. So for your product, whatever that is, do research onto Reddit, YouTube, social media, and figure out what do people currently believe about their situation, about their problem, and what do you need them to believe in order to actually buy your product. And just by doing those two things, you'll be able to very quickly understand the gaps between what they currently believe and what you need them to believe. So again, gradualization is the process of shifting someone's beliefs by building a chain of small agreements. You start with something that they already accept as true. So you get them bought in, you get them with all of these different micro yeses, and each small yes makes the next yes easier to get. So the core principle is that you can't jump someone to a new belief, you have to walk them there. Think of it like a staircase. You can't ask someone to jump to the 10th step. They'll refuse, it's too far, too scary, too uncertain. But if you let them climb one step at a time, each step feels small, obvious, and safe. Before they know it, they're at the top, believing something they wouldn't have believed if you asked them to jump there directly. Now, let's talk about the goal conclusion. And all the goal conclusion is a different name for the belief that we need them to believe in order to actually buy. So Eugene Schwartz calls the top of this metaphorical staircase the goal conclusion. And it's basically the belief your prospect needs to hold in order to buy your product. So if we look at a cat fountain, again, we have those two examples there. If we look at a TV repair manual, the goal conclusion that we need someone to believe is that they can save money by doing their own TV repairs and that they are capable of making these repairs themselves. This is an example that I won't spend too much time on that Schwartz uses in the book, but essentially these people tried to sell a TV repair manual and the first headline they used was save up to $100 a year on your TV repairs. And the reason why this flopped is because people didn't even believe that they didn't believe that they knew how or that they were handy enough to actually solve their own problem, to be able to fix their TV. They also didn't believe that TV repairs doing it themselves would save them any money. And so they had to redo this entire headline because it contradicted the core belief. It just assumes that, hey, people want to save $100 a year on their TV repairs. But if people don't believe that they can actually fix their own TV, that it's too complicated, they're just going to break a bunch of shit, then obviously they're not going to resonate with a headline that just says save up to $100. So here's the second attempt, and this headline crushed. It's one of the most famous ads of all time, and it starts with the headline, why haven't TV owners been told these facts? So there's no claim, no promise of savings, no no benefit, no mass desires, no nothing. Just a universal acceptance, right? That there's something being kept secret from you. So we start with something that everybody in this market, who basically anyone who owns a TV, can't agree with. Now, it implies a foul play. And the reason why they're starting out with something like this and implying foul play is because they're trying to leverage this widespread resentment that existed at the time. Because if you tried to go get your TV repaired, it was a pain in the ass. And a lot of people at this time, when TVs were first coming out, you'd buy a TV and after a few months it would break. So everybody was resentful towards TV repairs being expensive. And also the fact that, hey, I spent thousands of dollars on this thing and it broke within 5 minutes. And then to get it fixed, I have to pay the same amount that I spent to buy it. Like, it's fucked up. So everyone can agree with this, right? And then came the acceptance chain. So if you go to read the actual ad itself, they start with step 1. They ask, in the newspaper, the question, was your TV purchased after spring of 1947? Most people say yes. Then we go to step 2. Okay, here we're going after the next yes. Your exact same set has been running perfectly in manufacturer test rooms for months. So this is a believable fact. We're basically saying, hey, the TV that you have, it's in a test room currently and it's perfectly fine, right? Step 3, these sets were tested against every possible breakdown. This makes sense, right? That's the whole point of testing. Step 4, they produced perfect pictures for a full year without major breakdowns. So if it happened in test rooms, it's possible, they accept it. Step 5, if your set were properly cared for like these test sets, it would only break down once a year. Okay, so we're basically saying, hey, the TV that you have, it's in a manufacturing test room right now. We're looking at it and it's totally fine. So if it was cared for in the same way, then you probably, or not probably, you wouldn't have any experience of the TV breaking as frequently as you do. Okay. And then step 6, which is how we get them to the goal conclusion. And most important, these experts have discovered that you do not have to be a handyman or a mechanic in order to coax this performance out of your set. So we're basically saying, hey, it's possible because TVs right now that you have in your living room are working perfectly fine. They're not breaking down. And experts have discovered that you don't have to be a mechanic in order to coax this performance out of your set, in order to experience, or I guess to not experience your TV breaking down all the time. So now the prospect is ready to believe our claim because we built this acceptance chain first. And there's a few different things going on here. Like step number 2, you'd have to have some type of study here or some type of proof that these TV sets are in manufacturer test rooms working perfectly fine. They also have another appeal to authority here when they say these experts. So in order for like this claim to actually land, without these experts, this probably wouldn't land as well. So beyond that though, hopefully you can see how they're using this acceptance chain to shift people to believing what we need them to. And eventually now, when we get to this, now you can make the claim, you can do this simple care yourself and save up to $100 a year. And again, as I said before, this ad was fucking wildly successful. Okay. It's one of the most famous ads of all time because of how successful it was. So again, what just happened? Schwartz didn't argue with their belief. He didn't present studies. He didn't try to, like, if you've ever seen those Jubilee videos where it's like 1 Democrat versus 25 Republicans, or the inverse, like where everybody's just fucking yelling at each other like 25-8. He wasn't doing that. He's just starting with something that they could all agree with, resentment towards repair bills and secrets being kept. Then he built it step by step until the new belief felt inevitable. And that's gradualization. So how do we take this 13-minute long fucking video and apply it tactically to actually be able to create ads with AI that will allow you to scale to 5 and 10K a day and even beyond that? Okay, we're going to cover the 5-step gradualization process really quick. And then I'm going to show you how to use this exact prompt here to write some fucking banging copy. All right, so the 5-step gradualization process is you have a product, you know what people want to get by using the product, or in other words, the mass desires. Next, you need to figure out, starting with number 1, what is your goal conclusion? What does somebody need to believe in order to buy your product? This is not what your product does. This is what they must believe for your product to make sense to them. So again, cat water fountain, they need to believe that their cat needs fresh moving water and that wet food alone isn't enough to prevent kidney disease. If they believe these 2 things, they can buy our product. What belief is blocking them from their current goal conclusion? Or this is step 2, identify what they currently believe. So what beliefs are blocking them from accepting your goal conclusion? Again, cat water fountain. So now that we know what they believe and what we need to get them to believe, next we can start to map out through this AI prompt that I'm about to show you, how we can get them from here to here. How can we take them from their existing beliefs to the beliefs we need them to believe in order to buy? So how do we do this? Step 3, find your universal acceptance. What can all of your prospects immediately agree with no proof needed and no convincing required? So this has to be something that they've either directly observed or experienced, a shared emotion, resentment, or frustration, a common fear, a contradiction they've seen in real life. It just needs to be something that can be accepted without question. That regardless of what you believe about hydration, kidney disease, whatever, you can accept it. So the example I gave here is you've seen cats on all wet food still get kidney disease. So the way that you do this is by going onto Reddit, going to wherever your audience is talking about the problem. I prefer Reddit. It's pretty much where I do like 90% of my research. And you just want to find evidence of anything that people can universally accept. So in the case of this belief here, which is you've seen cats on all wet food still get kidney disease, I found this comment, where is it? This comment here, where there's 8 upvotes, absolutely true. I've always fed wet and still have a cat that develops CKD at 7. Wet is great for getting extra moisture into a cat that doesn't drink enough. It will not, however, keep a cat from developing CKD. So there's evidence basically to suggest that people understand that wet food maybe won't prevent it, but even though it's the best solution, if your cat is eating wet food, there's a chance they could still get CKD. Okay, so then we start to build out step 4, the acceptance chain, creating 3 to 4 small acceptances, and these are going to take place all throughout the copy. And we start firstly with the universal acceptance, and then we build them or gradualize them up to our goal conclusion. So universal acceptance, you've seen cats on wet food still get kidney disease. Now, the next yes we're going to get from them is wet food is supposed to prevent this. That's what everyone says. Okay, that is something that everybody would accept, because if you go literally on every forum, everybody says switch to wet food, switch to wet food, switch to wet food. So that's what everybody says. So we accept that. Yes. Then we go for the next yes. But it keeps happening to good owners who follow the advice. So even though everybody's saying to switch to wet food, there's still evidence of people who feed wet food and end up with CKD anyways. Yes, we get them to believe that. Then the next acceptance is wet food delivers moisture during the meal, which is about 2 hours of digestion. We get a yes from them again. That makes sense. It's very logical. Of course, it only delivers moisture during the meal because that's when they're eating. That's the only way they can get the moisture. Then we go for the next acceptance, but cats need hydration for the other 22 hours too. Again, this is easy to believe. It's easy to accept. We are humans, right? If we only drank water, if we had 1 hour a day to drink water and the other 23 hours we couldn't, we'd probably be dehydrated as well. And now we have the goal conclusion, which is that's why wet food alone isn't enough. Because now we are basically showcasing this belief to them or this conclusion to them, but we've done so in a way where we've kind of logically massage their brain into thinking this by getting all of these micro acceptances. And that is basically the process of gradualization. So again, as the structure, you start with your universal acceptance, which is often in your headline and your lead. You build through each small acceptance. You let them arrive at the goal conclusion themselves, and then you introduce your product as the logical solution. So this has been a very long video. What we're going to do now is actually show you the prompt on how to use this, which if you stuck around, I promise this prompt is going to be well worth it. So what I want you to do now is click in the description of this video, make a copy of this prompt right now, and follow along because I'm going to show you step by step how to actually use it. So let's do this. The purpose of this prompt is to generate you one long form piece of copy. This is not going to generate hooks or anything like that. It's just one long sales letter that you can use. And there's some information that you need to fill in, which I'm going to show you how to do now. So first thing I need you to do is open up Claude and use Sonnet 4.5, and then we're going to fill in some of this information here. Okay, so going back, here's the information that we need to fill out in this long form copy prompt. I have it pasted into a Claude formula. The first thing we need to do is give it our website, which is www.trypurify.com. We sell a cat water fountain. Just very, very basic. And there's some other information that you need to attach to this as well. So you need to note down what stage of market sophistication you're in. I will tell you right now, majority of markets for dropshipping products are either stage 4 or stage 5. So we're going to say stage 5. And all we're going to do is paste this in like that. Then we're going to go back to the prompt. Oops. What do they currently believe? What do they believe causes their problem? So we are going to say prospect believes CKD is inevitable. Prospect believes all wet food diet is enough to prevent and mitigate CKD. Okay, now we go back. So again, where do you find these beliefs? You need to go into the research, go into Reddit forums, and just spend time. Imagine that you are the person that wants to solve this problem, and then do research that way. Like imagine you have a cat and you want to prevent their kidney disease. And then with that paradigm, you're going to search forums as if you're looking for that answer, like your life depends on it. And that's what's going to lead you to understanding what beliefs people have. You want to read each of these things step by step, line by line. And in just reading these comments, people are going to tell you what they believe, either implicitly or explicitly. Okay, next, what beliefs do we need to shift? I mean, this is basically kind of these things here. And then what is universally accepted in your market? Okay, then we'll put that here as well. Most people universally accept belief, or universally accepted statement, I guess, or fact. Cats who eat wet food still get CKD. Okay, now once we have all that information, we're going ahead and press enter, and then we're going to work with this until we get the copy. Okay, so here is the copy as it just came out. And keep in mind, we haven't done any prompting outside of giving our Claude chat here a website, our product name, the stage of sophistication, what our prospect believes, and then some universally accepted statements. And just from that alone, it's already started to spit out some pretty strong copy, in my opinion. Now, this is reading much like a problem solution style copy written in the second person. So if you wanted to go more the first person route of telling like a personal story, you could definitely do that with this copy here. But notice the techniques of gradualization at play. So why cats on all wet food diets still get kidney disease. You're a cat owner who already switched to wet food years ago, maybe even when they were young. You read articles, you join Facebook groups, you learn that moisture prevents CKD, so you did it, 100% wet food, no kibble, not even as treats. And then we go down, 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 down. Because you've seen it happen in the groups to friends, to cat whose owners did everything right. We fed only wet food since she was a kitten, still got CKD at age 12. He never ate kibble once, stage 3 at age 10. It doesn't make sense. Wet food is supposed to prevent this. That's what everyone says. That's what the research shows, but it keeps happening. Good owners, premium food, all the right brands, still CKD. Boom. You've tried everything. We start to amplify it, right? You've tried all these different brands, what's happening. And then we get into like a product discovery section here. And so let me go ahead and copy this onto a Google Doc. Okay, and here is our fully realized copy. So this would be the first sentence, and then this is the rest of the copy. And yes, you would copy paste this all into the primary text section of your ad. Now, if you are still getting used to like this technique and you're just starting out with it, what you can do is actually just ask Claude for a version of this that annotates where these micro acceptances are being applied. And that way you can gut check it yourself and critique it to make sure that these micro acceptances are occurring and therefore gradualization is happening effectively. So if we look and start with section 2, the detailed identification, we have micro acceptance number 1. You read the articles, you join the Facebook groups, you learn that moisture prevents CKD. Again, these are all things. Every one of these micro acceptances should be things that the audience will believe without question or can resonate with without question. So doing research, buying premium food, these are all things that these people can identify with that are going to make them more likely to accept our goal conclusion because we're getting all of these micro yeses along the way. So you've tried everything the groups recommend, you added a third wet food, you tried different brands, you added water to the food. If we go back down, here's what you've noticed. Even cats who eat wet food exclusively don't drink much water from their bowl, maybe once a day, maybe not at all. You've moved the bowl, tried different bowls, ceramic, steel, glass, building. Yes, I troubleshoot this problem too. You've placed them away from the litter box near their favorite spots and quiet rooms. Yep, so like we're basically just trying to get them, oh, this is like, what the heck? Yeah, like I do agree with all this. And then we get down to the actual belief shift mechanism. That's why wet food alone doesn't work. Okay, from their existing belief, it's not that wet food is bad. It's not that you needed better brands or more meals. It's that wet food only solves 40 minutes of a 24-hour problem. So the mechanism that you actually use is going to be different for every angle and for every product, certainly. But hopefully you can see by how structuring the copy this way and applying the technique of gradualization, you're not just slamming people over the head with problem statements. And that's probably the most common issue I see inside of Got to Ecom is people write copy and they think they can just call out a problem and then make people some fucking sob story that makes them want to cry and smack them over the head with just emotional words like, fuck, this pain is so bad, I'm going to die. But it's like the main goal in copy, one of the main goals in copy is to get somebody to believe what they need to in order to buy the product. And gradualization is the technique to get you there. So guys, I'm going to leave the document that teaches this as well as the actual prompt below. Now, feel free, these sections here, these are just the minimum number of sections that you need to include. If you have specific product details, if there's a specific angle you want to write, if there's specific beliefs you want to tackle, if there's specific, again, angle, whatever information, you can add that into this prompt here. You do not need to limit yourself to just these 4 questions. These are just the only things that you absolutely need in order to make gradualization work. Then you can fill in the blank with any other things, angles, desires, behaviors, emotions that you want to include in your copy in order to start creating some really, really strong stuff. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content as always. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, let me know in the comments below what kinds of content you guys want to see next. I think a couple of you have been asking about advertorials, and I'm kind of revamping the entire advertorial process inside of GodTheory.com. So it's a very, very good topic for me to cover because it's kind of just right on time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Really quick, I do want to give a quick shout out to my program, GodTheory.com, and honestly, all the people that are crushing it inside of here. I just want to let you guys know that we are trying to make a push to win the school games. And so because of that, right now is the lowest price the community will ever be. We've been at $199 a month for the last 6 months, I think, and we haven't raised it since. But truthfully, the group is growing really, really fast. And as you can see, I have 99 plus DMs, and it's getting very difficult to keep up with everybody. I still maintain a very, very high track record of activities. So I'm in here constantly answering questions, doing Q&A calls, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to let you guys know that the price is going to go up on the 1st of January. So if you want to join now at the lowest price it will ever be, click the link in the description. Otherwise, all the prompts and shit are going to be in the description as well. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.